John McCormick from Energetics Leadership, and I'm chatting today with Lukas Michel, MD of Agility Insights. Lukas, how are you doing?
Thank you, fine. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, and isn't it funny how we've just kind of connected through LinkedIn and we've got some similarities and we've been discussing topics with management and leadership, and we thought we would provide some insight for people and post it up and see if we can give them some value.
This is the value of social media, which is actually exciting.
Isn't it?
And translating that into real conversations is even better.
Yeah, okay. Yes, when the technology works. So I know that you and I have been chatting a little bit on quite a few topics, but you had mentioned this area around focus, versus aiming one's attention in an organization towards producing results. And I was really intrigued about that distinction, because I know when you can distinguish something clearly like that, it brings power and choice for people. And really, I think if we could spend a few minutes and I could pick your brains a bit on that, I think we could bring some value for people and some insight for people in just a few minutes. And we'll just, just a general kind of overview of it. We don't have to get too in depth with it. But does that sound like something might be worthwhile?
It sounds perfect to me.
So, good. So why don't you kind of give me an overview of what you really meant by that when we were chatting about it the other day?
See, my personal interest is in what I call corporate leadership.
Right.
It's actually making organizations better for the people of today, or asking the question, how do you actually lead our organizations? And one of the claims that I'm making is that we have to reconsider on how we deal with goals. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, goal orientation, by definition, or famous Peter Drucker said, goal orientation is one of those things managers should actually strive at. Now, we know today that most organizations have taken that not literally, but with the detail. And what happened is rigorous MBO processes in most organizations that actually most HR leaders and most leaders and employees would argue don't really help in getting good work done. If you think about organizations in a turbulent environment,
yes,
complexity increases, uncertainty is everywhere, signals are ambiguous with regard to the future. Which is
happening more and more. In today's business world, you see that more and more.
And things are dynamic. They
yes.
change very fast. We end up with what I call management by objectives that is kind of triggered on an annual process.
Yes.
And it has obvious deficits, which today are not really helping good management here. So what I have come up with is this kind of a slogan, is what I call focus your attention rather than to aim at goals here.
Yeah.
And let me do it the following. Let me talk about the focus attention first, and then about the aiming thing here.
Okay.
Focus of attention is a fantastic concept, not invented by me. It is quite well documented in the control literature. Attention is one of the topics in behavioral accounting. You wouldn't believe it, but that's what it is. Basically, what it means is the question, how do we focus the attention of people in a firm the best way we can? Okay. Now, most have done MBOs with it.
Yeah.
And I'm coming and saying, no, hold on. There is maybe a better way of doing it. And focus of attention as a concept can best be experienced in sports. So let me just give you a story. Yesterday I played a round of golf. It actually was a tournament.
Yes.
And golf is one of those games where, you have a little ball. You have a hole somewhere 200 meters away from you, and you have a totally inadequate tool to actually get this ball into that hole here.
Yeah.
So people love that because it's this swing that it's just a great thing to do, and people get into it, and people play tournaments. Now the first takeoff or tee-off, as we call it, is normally the one where people are quite nervous. Okay? So yesterday I had a flight of 3, and first one that took off hit the ball kind of 20 meters ahead of him. We call it a lady because he didn't actually go further than the lady's tee-off.
Yeah.
The rule is that when this happens, you can declare it as not a good shot. You take a penalty and you do another one, which he did. And he did twice the same. Okay?
It sounds like my game.
It sounds like golf. Okay?
Sounds like my game.
Anyway, on the way to the next hole, and I asked him, what actually happened? Because I know this guy, and he's a fairly good golfer. It doesn't need to happen. And he said, look, it's very simple. I just want to get my handicap down.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, here we are. That's what it is. So what he did is he actually put a target in his mind while he was swinging. And we know, research has proven that, and experience has proven it in any kind of sport. As soon as you put a target on a physical, mental task here,
yes,
the whole thing actually breaks down.
Yes.
So what does focus of attention do? I have now explained the negative example with aiming, rather than to actually explain the focus of attention means that you concentrate, you observe one thing of your body, for example, your left hand, and you simply just swing without thinking. You just observe what happens.
Yes.
And while you're doing that, your body actually learns extremely fast. Focus of attention comes from quantum physics. This means that once you start observing something or a little particular, it actually starts changing.
Yes.
And this is the foundation of organizational learning here.
Yes.
So I'm saying here we have a fantastic tool. I call it focus of attention. That essentially is the clue to learning and to higher performance. Now, why don't we use this in organizations rather than to aiming at stuff? Okay? This means using focus of attention means using metrics to help people to focus on what matters. Okay?
Yeah.
So if the two of us in a managerial agreement agree that for the golf swing, watching your left hand and the grip of your club is the thing that we'll focus on in the next 5 to 10 minutes while we are practicing it, we will actually improve extremely fast. Okay?
Well, can I just cut in here for a second and say something about that, Lukas? Because here's my question, or my observation. When you aim at something, like a number, let's say in business, I think it can create stress for people, because what you're doing is projecting yourself into the future. Yes, that's a future goal, something that we have to achieve somewhere down the line. And that, would you say that number, or that aiming at something like a number, creates a kind of internal stress for a person on having to deliver on it? Do you think that's part of the reason why it doesn't work as well as focusing?
Well, this is the one and most important reason, is that as soon as you put stress on people, you put tension on people, they create it themselves. Most
That's right.
They create it themselves. It's self-induced kind of tension, especially with the golf game. Essentially, your ability to perform, the quality of your decision drops dramatically. It's kind of we call it a upside down U-shape curve with respect to the amount of stress that you can cope with.
Yeah.
So essentially what I'm saying is people in organizations should be somewhat stress free in order to really perform at their peak. Now, there are two things to distinguish. One is metrics. If the two of us agree that 97% is the kind of productivity that the machine needs to run at, then the two of us, so manager and employee, actually look for the 97. But this means that the employee, as soon as it drops below 97, can actually react on it without asking. Yes. They know what needs to get done, so they fix the problem immediately here. And you have the same observation point. This is something different as saying, here is a target. We absolutely have to always reach the 97, and that's what you will be rewarded on. Yeah. As soon as you start doing that, then the 97 becomes a totally different number, a different meaning here.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is just leave out the target stuff. Employees are intelligent. You have hired the best. So expect them to understand what this 97 means and manage it that way.
Yes.
There's no reason for stressing goal orientation further than the kind of natural instinct or the natural capability people have already. We are, by definition, goal-oriented.
So would you say that focus becomes the leading indicator of achieving the goal?
The indicator is the tool to enable focus of attention. That's what I would argue. Yeah. So I would argue install good measurement systems. Install them in a way that helps employees to get the feedback very fast. Again, golf. Okay, golf is one of those games where you get immediate feedback. If your shot was good, you feel it in your hands. It feels good. You see it where the ball lands. So feedback is immediate. Now, to take that metaphor into the business world is very simple. Create measurement tools, metrics to look at for employees at the client front. There where it really matters.
Yes.
Aggregating those numbers up the hierarchy is one of the things that most organizations do, but that's irrelevant as compared to having the metrics at the client front. If you have educated people, responsible people that want to move things on, want to do good for clients, they will do it up front.
So would the person be focusing on the task at hand rather than the aiming at the target?
That's what I would argue. Yeah. Because what you do is when you play golf or you ski, you actually focus on what matters for golfing and for ski and not on the target itself.
Yes. Yeah. So in kind of wrapping this up, I think it's a fantastic distinction because where you direct your attention is where you're going to put most of your effort. So if that attention or that focus is on achieving the task at hand, then the result of that, what falls out of that, I would say, is the end result, which is whatever the objective was for the organization.
You see, again, if you hire good people, which all of us do, essentially, you can assume that responsible individuals will look out for the good of the overall organization.
Yes, I agree.
So providing the frame of the overall organization helps everyone to directly align without going through this cumbersome aligning process up and down the organizations of targets. So if you just use metrics where people actually do work, then they will actually focus on what you have agreed with them, which is the kind of things you both look for.
Yes.
And in my mind, it's the coaching foundation of everything. It's looking for the things that really matter for the business, and you agree on those kind of things. So it's a different way of looking. If I may add one point, this sounds all kind of convincing to any HR person. I've talked about this yesterday at the Swiss trade show, human resources trade show with many head of HR there. The problem is the transition from the rigorous MBO stuff to this focus of attention.
Yes.
And one of them, a colleague of mine who I've never haven't met for 15 years, he has become a head of HR for one of the large Swiss states. Okay. And he said, we are just about starting to introduce management by objectives with our teachers and with our administrators. they absolutely hate it. And then I started my story with focus of attention because we spent a lot of time skiing together, experiencing flow, experiencing what really true performance means like it. And then says, I'm not sure, Lukas, whether you made my day today, because I think you're right. We're introducing something which likely we shouldn't.
Yes.
Interesting, no?
Yes, very. And I'm sure it will be interesting to see organizations transition and how they would go about transition. Well, that would come down to leadership for me. Lukas, I think we've got I think we've distinguished something there. So why don't we leave it at that, and we can pick up on another topic at another day, because I would like to continue the conversation, and we can pick 2 or 3 of these distinctions and provide some insight around them for people. Would that work for you?
Perfect.
Thank you, sir. We will see you on the next one then.